But let's move on now, because it's time for an inconvenient tooth. As today is the World Oral Health Day, a time to remember the importance of looking after our teeth. And of course that starts, or at least it should do, from a very young age. But get this, shockingly, a quarter of parents say they forget to brush their children's teeth, and 52% say that the everyday hassle of life simply gets in the way. Astonishing. Now, does this actually justify the government's recent campaign for supervised toothbrushing in schools? Or should we give that the brush off? But having said that, if parents are useless, maybe the state should step in. Well, now get out your teeth, get your teeth stuck into this. It's Barty Walsh from Ordo Oral Care. Barty, welcome to the show. Got to say, I find this pretty hard to swallow. The fact that parents aren't even getting their kids to brush their teeth makes my blood boil. This costs us £81 million a year in removing kids' teeth alone on the NHS. Parents like me are paying for the poor lifestyle choices of other parents. What on earth is going on?
I know, it's a crisis, it really is. And it's something, obviously, the government have stepped in, and it's something we're very passionate about as a brand to really, and I think it's not just parents' fault. Don't get me wrong, you know, we need to improve the education our parents have, but also the children have on oral health. But it's about a country, it's about a community. We need to bring oral health to the forefront. Like you say, it costs the government millions of pounds. You know, children, 1 in 4 children have some form of tooth decay. And children, so the biggest procedure in hospitals right now taking place for children between the ages of 6 and 10 is tooth extractions. So this is getting into our NHS, our medical system, not just our dental system as well. So we're trying to address it by educating consumers, educating the parents, getting the government to step in. And also it's up to us as brands to do what we've got to do and help people know what is good for children.
You know, Barty, you might think that my techniques are unorthodox, but I'll tell you what I do with my 2 kids. I've got a 15-year-old boy and an 11-year-old girl. I've got to say they don't have fillings. I showed them videos on YouTube of people having fillings, of people having their tooth pulled out. Now, you might think that's child abuse, but I'll tell you what, the looks on their face as all the blood drain out, well, that is what happens if you don't take care of your teeth. It's painful. It's horrible. If you make them understand the consequences, then maybe they'll take action to avoid it. But it seems, Barty, the missing part of the equation in many British households is parents. They simply don't care, or they're not even aware.
I think it's a multitude of things. I think you're right. There is a bit of scaremongering, and we need to do that. We need to educate our children on the importance of looking after their oral care at a young age. So, you know, they're not scared of going to the dentist when they're older, but also it's the financial implications. You know, going to the dentist is not cheap anymore. And what we're trying to do is to educate people, invest early on in their early stages of development when they're younger. And yeah, it's down to the parents. We need to step up. We need to stand up and go, look, you know, our study found that 25% of adults, of parents, are not brushing their kids' teeth in the morning. And I can guarantee that number will probably be a bit higher. But those people have stood up and gone, look, put our hands up. We're not educating our kids enough. So we need to do something about that. And I think the government needs to step in and help with that, but also it's up to us as brands to educate people and telling them, look, this is what you need to do to look after your children's oral care, and these are the repercussions if you don't. And I think your way is a little bit unorthodox, but I think it's a good way to do it.
I'll tell you what, Barty, it was effective. And, you know, I'm not bothered about upsetting them because, you know, I want to save them discomfort, I want to save them money, I want to save them pain. Where do you stand on this notion of the government stepping in? I mean, a lot of people think, oh, it shouldn't be the state's job to become a parent, but if parents aren't being parents, you know, the grim reality, Barty, maybe that's what we need to do.
I think it's one of those things. It's kind of like, it's education, right? And the government stepping when it comes to education, and oral care, oral health education is one of those parts of education which is massively overlooked. So yes, it needs to be up to the parents, but also the government needs to do it as well. And like you say, if the parents aren't doing it, we do need to step in at an early stage. And trust me, it's a lot cheaper to do it when you're younger and you're educating people on how to brush and prevent. Prevention is always better than cure. So if we can prevent later in life worse things that cost us more as a nation, then it's better to do it, invest in the upfront. Like I said, if the government invests younger children, we invest as parents into products which are going to help kids look after their teeth from a younger age. It's going to cost us a lot less money, financial and also physical pain in the long run.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Barty Walsh from Ordo Oral Care, thank you very, very much for joining us on World Oral Health Care. And by the way, may I add, my teeth when I was a kid were terrible. All I ever did was eat cola cubes and midget gems and all the rest of it. So maybe I'm just passing on the fact that I didn't do a good job on my own teeth. It's made me a good parent in terms of my kids' oral care. Barty Walsh, superb. Thank you very much for joining us on the show today. An absolute pleasure to have your company. Thank you. Now, if you're in search of some winter sun this year, well, there's plenty of